For the past 2 years, Jocko Fuel has been the only supplement I've consumed. It's helped me stay in shape now that my competitive career is finished. If you've been waiting to try Jocko, the wait is over. Jocko has now teamed with Walmart, bringing clean fuel to the entire nation. Jocko Fuel is loaded with all the good stuff and none of the bad. And I'm talking no added sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and absolutely no gray area or banned substances. Just pure, clean fuel to power your performances. Jocko Fuel is now available in Walmart nationwide. Products available at your local Walmart are Jocko Malt, ready to drink, Jocko Malt powder, and Jocko pre-workout. How convenient. Guys, the time is now. Consider trying some of my favorites like Jocko Go and Jocko Hydrate. You can even do it online. Use code CHAEL30 at JockoFuel.com or just stop by your local Walmart and get your hands on some Jocko ASAP. Don't wait, might not last. Fuel up with Jocko Fuel and crush your goals. Now there's no excuse for not having clean fuel. Guys, I want you to go get Jocko Fuel today at Walmart.
Okay, maybe you can explain it to me. We got Asakura. First of all, I didn't know this. He would be the first Japanese champion in the UFC. That's amazing to me. I didn't know that was true. To my eye, when I watch his highlight reel, he looks like a world beater to me, okay? I love his story. I love where he came from, how he started fighting with his brother being a street fighter and his brother roping him into the world of street fighting and just strapped some gloves on him. And right away, the kid showed potential. He is a true fighter and his heart, he looks great. And people are saying Pantoja. He's more well-rounded, the ground game, etc. But when I look at this Asakura, all I see is future champ. Now, again, I've been wrong. I've thought this about so many fighters that were like, that guy's invincible or that woman's invincible, and I'm wrong. I zig when I should zag, Chael. Am I zigging when I should zag here when I say that Asakura just looks like a world beater?
Okay, there's a few things that I hope we can all establish here. Number one is I despise the ranking systems. And I don't despise it from that we should have a ranking. I despise that we came in with a ranking system and then the fighters, the supposed tough guys, use the ranking system to get out of having to do hard fights. You know, I'm ranked number 6. I don't have to fight that guy. Like, we can't get a top 10 guy to fight Bo Nickel. And their argument is, well, he's not even ranked. What good would it do me? When the truth is, I'm scared of this guy that's not ranked and I don't think I can beat him. And we all understand that, but it is infuriating. And I will just share for you, apparently we're not following that code anymore, because as good as Asakura is and whatever nice things you want to say about him, he is not ranked. He is not ranked anywhere. So if we can take a guy that is not ranked in the top 15 and put him against the champion, then we can take an unranked Bo Nickel and put him against the number 6 guy. So if we're all as a community going to co-sign that statement, I'll drink to the whole thing and I'm fine with it. Asakura, what a hard spot. I mean, to debut in the UFC, it's very rare that you look good. In fact, it's why they call Randy Couture the natural, because he could play on day one. He was a natural. To have a debut like Justin Gaethje had, where you're playing to the audience, flipping the guy off, and they take you right into the set of The Ultimate Fighter because you broke in so hard. There's not a lot like that. Like, no matter how good you are, you generally will underperform. Vanderlei had a hard time his first time. Hector Lombard had won 22 in a row. I mean, just for example, it's a different feel. It smells different. It looks different. You do inside feel something different. And imagining that you could go into a main event, you're going to walk out later on the same card as world champions like Chris Weidman and Aljo. You're closing over the top of them, and then to think that you could win a world title. I mean, it really is what dreams are made of. It's an amazing thing. And with all of that said, I'm not sure he's not the right guy. I'm not sure he's not. You put 100 guys into a room, 1 hour later, they will all know who the baddest dude in the room is. You and I, we just know. We would know this number 2 and number 3, and we'd have our little hierarchy, and that whole alpha thing would take over. All I can tell you about Asakura, there is not a single 125-pounder that has spoke up, not one word, to say he should not have this. I have earned this. I have the ranking. I've traveled the roads. They all stood back when he got signed and said, go get your opportunity and we'll play from there. I've got to take those guys at their word. They're experts, and they are not complaining.
How good is Pantoja? I mean, like, because, okay, when I look at this fight card, I see two things that are very similar. I see Asakura being hoisted to this position, right, which is a difficult position, like, but the reward would be massive. Can you imagine coming in your first fight and taking the belt? Like, I mean, just wow, what a superstar born tomorrow. I mean, Saturday night, a superstar could be born. I also see Shavkat Rakhmonov as the boogeyman. And Chael, as much as I love the guy, and yes, he's a badass, there's no question about it, I don't see the evidence of this guy being the boogeyman that nobody wants to fight. Why does nobody want to fight him? He beat Jeff Neal, right? What he gave like a bulldog choke or something and beat him, okay? And he beat Wonder Boy, right? Which was a decision, I believe. He choked out Wonder Boy. He was the first person to submit Wonder Boy.
He did finish him. Third round, yeah.
Two great accomplishments. But does it make him, does that make him the boogeyman? Because as far as I can see, every fighter in his weight class, nobody wants a piece of him. Bilal was going to fight him. He got sick. But is this guy, I asked the same question. Asakura looks, again, like a world beater to me. To me, the opposite. Shavkat looks great, but I don't think he's proven himself yet to be the boogeyman. Is he that good, and why? And what do you see that maybe we don't see? Or what would the fighters in that division see in him?
And he's definitely on the slow rise, but there's been other guys that took the long road.
Yep.
Chuck Liddell, by example.
Yep.
But when Chuck finally got there, he was the most recognizable face in our entire sport. Guys were going mohawks and dressed as Chuck Liddell for Halloween.
Yes.
Once he finally got there, and I do feel like Rakhmonov is going to be the same way. If he, in fact, can capture a world championship, I do believe that he's going to be very massive. But it is the slow road. So when you talk about the boogeyman, right, generally the boogeyman has a couple of things. You watch him and he looks really good, but it's in conjunction with people don't know who he is. People don't respect him. So that's the guy that a fighter really does not want to fight. If I beat this guy who's a stud, I'm not going to get enough of a pop because people don't know how good he is. But the other hand, if I lose to a guy, people don't know if Rakhmonov is his first name, last name, or his nickname. We know nothing about this guy. He does not do interviews. It's not a matter of he'll do an interview and then you got to get a translator. He doesn't do the interview or in his language, their language, or any language. It's a really difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
It would have been a very difficult press week to have Rakhmonov on stage with Blahal. It was just one of those things. But golly, he's beat 19 men in a row. 19 out of 19. And so she finished them all. That's folklore. When I was growing up, you'd hear about somebody from 100 years ago that could do something like this. It's folklore. The guy has got something. And I feel like, Chimaev was in that division at one point too. We could have got those two guys together, but purposely they were kept apart. And maybe that was the right move. But every now and then it's hard to get the actual matches that we want. Ian Gary used to train with him. Ian Gary knows how this fight is going to go. But he's agreed to do it anyway. He's agreed, he feels that, even in a training situation, you never go higher than about 90%. And Ian Gary feels like, hey, there was some openings and I didn't take them. And that in of itself is very interesting for me. And they're both undefeated. Ian Gary hasn't finished everybody, but there's 15 up and 15 went down. I think it's a very interesting match. I think that's the true people's main event. That's the one that people are looking forward to the most. I think the winner goes and fights for a world title. But to your point on Rakhmonov, is he the boogeyman? Yeah, but the ingredients are you're really good and really unknown. That is the recipe that nobody wants to deal with.
That's really interesting. So in that fight, though, you like Rakhmonov.
I like Rakhmonov.
You do.
I like him largely because they've already done it. They train together every day. They both understand this. The people that were there understand this. And people love to say the training room's not the same. Well, yeah, it really is. It's actually the absolute closest thing you could ever have to the real thing is the sparring session. So, I like him from that regard, but I will acknowledge that Ian Gary does rise to the occasion. I will also acknowledge that Ian Gary, after leaving the gym, got some really good advice in a different realm. For example, going to Brazil, Damian Maia specifically adding to his ground game. I can't make believe that 8 months is enough time, but Ian does think he knows something. And Ian's been right every single time so far.
Yes.
So it's very hard to discount him.
Yes, it is. Definitely a very good fight. And the main event's a good fight because, again, we don't know much about, Asakura. It's like we've seen his highlight reel and all that, but we don't really know. And Pantoja, look, he's beaten a who's who in the division. So if you gun to your head, you got to make a bet. Do you go? You're with Pantoja on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, you're with Pantoja.
Got to go Pantoja. Hey, listen, I don't know enough about this Asakura. I mean, physically, he looks pretty good, but quite frankly, all those 25-pounders are better than anything I ever had to deal with. I never had to deal with the top guys when I was fighting. The 10th guy at 125 was more dynamic and faster and craftier, and he looks really good, but being really good and then being able to compete are very different things. And I'm just telling you, man, the fight capital of the world, sold out. Dana White believes in you enough. The boss puts you as the main event. That's a lot. That's a lot to put on a guy.
It's a lot.